Hello and welcome back to McClaren Performance. There's been quite a few mistakes this week made by referees in the Premier League. And with that, I've been thinking, as I imagine a lot of people have been thinking, are referees actually really bad? Referees and VAR, it's something I've wanted to talk about on this for a long time because it seems like this weird sub-corner of football, not really talked about that often, or well, talked about quite a lot with regards to mistakes that are being made, but I don't know a lot about what goes on behind the scenes. What is the life of a referee? That, alongside all these mistakes being made, for example, the two that are being made this week, it's something that's quite interesting to talk about. With VAR being introduced about 3-4 seasons ago, you think there'd probably be less mistakes being made, or maybe less has been made, but it seems that they're still quite prominent. You would think it would eradicate all mistakes, considering you get that opportunity to look over footage again and again, but that don't seem to be the case. Brentford's offside goal against Arsenal, for example, how can a referee watching that, an assistant referee, VAR as well, miss something like that, miss a player being offside? Yes, there's a lot of complicated things happening, but they're pretty well educated in the rules of the game. They can figure that out, especially with the time that they have. Even that mistake is somewhat understandable compared to the disallowed Brighton goal in the same week. The player's clearly onside. It's probably the most simple call you can make. There's no complication. But clearly someone in VAR draws the wrong line with the wrong defender. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you do that when you've got people watching you also to check up on that as well. Two big mistakes in 1 week. And you look at the Premier League, the standard that is there, the best league in the world, how can you not have the best referees? Or if this is the best referees you can get, it's clearly nowhere near good enough. And it makes me think, what does it take to become a referee in the Premier League? What is that process? The most shocking thing, it's got to be people that are passionate about refereeing. It's a world of football I just don't understand at all. I don't know why you'd want to be involved in it. I don't know why you'd want to do that. So anyway, I thought all of this stuff, I thought it was a good excuse to kind of look into the world of refereeing, what is going on behind the scenes. And what I never really realised before is that there actually is a group of referees, hired by the Premier League, the PGMOL, the Professional Game Match Officials Limited. They are a group of referees, a lot of referees, about 117 referees. They work with the Premier League, the EFL, the FA. They cover a lot of different games like that. Anyway, out of all those referees, they have a select one group of referees. There's about 22 of them, and they are the referees that are then selected for Premier League games. Similar thing with assistant referees. There's a top group of them as well. They are selected for certain Premier League games. And these 22 referees, they're like the creme de la creme of referees. There's a whole entire process that goes into picking who the top referees are going to be. They're analysed and scrutinised all the time. There's a senior referee that will watch the games that they officiate. Almost, from what I can tell, like a league table of referees that's always moving up and down. The best of the best do get up to the top, and they do get into Premier League games. That is how it works. So when you look at the Premier League, the referees that are there, they are actually the best at what they do. And to be fair, when people say they want more managers involved, they want more ex-players involved, they are actually a part of the process. There's people like that assess the referees that are currently doing what they do. The PGMOL also have a YouTube channel as well, a channel actually less popular than my own, which I can't believe either. They put up videos about refereeing, and nobody watches it. I don't blame them. Honestly, reading into it, it seems like this weird little world that nobody really knows about, nobody really cares about. They are similar to a football club, at least they describe themselves as that. They meet up every 2 weeks. Imagine how much fun that would be. They meet up every 2 weeks. They train, they analyse each other. They work on technical things. They do all sorts of different things. And they have everything, what a football club would have. They have sports scientists. They have sports psychologists. They have coaches and everything, performance analysts. They provide referees with so many things. You think for what is such a simple job, there's quite a lot that goes into it. I find the whole thing so strange. Like, what do they talk about on a day-to-day? Like, why do they go into that? Why would you want to be a referee? Do you grow up liking football and going, I want to be involved, but I don't want to play, I want to be a referee? I don't know about you, when I watch referees, They don't seem like the most normal people either. So the whole thing kind of interests me in a weird sort of way. Not in like an interesting way. I don't want to get into it. It's more like a fascination. But anyway, the whole thing seems so professional. It seems really heavily assessed all the time. But there are still these mistakes happening, especially in the Premier League. VAR came in to hopefully squash those. We always thought with VAR coming in it was going to be very technology driven, but it hasn't really seemed to be the case. Yes, you can just access footage that we all watch at home, but referees can now look that over. In some cases, yes, it's obviously helped them improve their decision making. They have that time, but there's instances like this week where obviously having that time hasn't really helped. It's almost as if having that time has kind of hindered some judgments that referees are making. And it's so strange that teams like Arsenal, for example, have to suffer the consequences of these mistakes. They've now dropped 2 points purely because of a mistake being made by a referee, by VAR. And when it comes to the end of the season, the way that it's going, it's going to be very close. And Arsenal might miss out on the league because of those 2 points. And ultimately, we all know that came down to a mistake that was made by someone else and had nothing really to do with Arsenal, and that's not really something that should be happening in what is probably the top league of football in the world. It's such a high level, and I think it only reflects probably what the quality of referees are like in other leagues as well. And it looks like they're doing a lot to create great referees, but there's still people making human errors, and maybe no matter what you do, that will always be the case. Even with time, that human error is still present. That's pretty obvious. That Arsenal decision is a great example. You spent about 3 minutes trying to make that decision. You might feel pressure to have to make that decision quickly, so might skip over everything and just make assumptions about certain things. That is human error regardless of the amount of time you have. And people watching the game as well, they don't want to wait that long. Surely there's a future where human error, a person, will not be involved in this process. Surely a referee should be going to something much more automated, artificial intelligence, something like that, something that's much more foolproof. There'll always be that human error, as in, sport, and we talk about psychology, there's always that acceptance that mistakes are going to be made, especially in moments in VAR when people have a lot of time to think. We talk about that in sport, with football, it's good because you've got no time, you're quick, instinctive all the time. In golf, you have that time to think. It means that you make mistakes and you get worse and worse. I think that's somewhat similar to a referee, having that time to think. Sometimes you can overthink, sometimes you can feel pressure from other things going on, and you can make mistakes. And that's where VAR isn't that much better than what was happening before. At least the referee on the pitch before, they made a judgment, they made it quickly, and for the most part they were very consistent in doing that. There seems to be not much difference really with VAR coming in. When we talk about these mistakes, a lot of them really are just offside decisions, and you think in a way that there's now goal line technology, surely there will be a technology that will be used for the offside rule, surely a technology that can be supported by an individual, so that if there is possibly a mistake with the technology, there is a human there to possibly correct it. But right now, we're facing decisions quite a lot. It takes a long time to make decisions, and sometimes they're wrong as well. So it's obviously not worth waiting that time. Actually, after recording this, I realised that at the FIFA World Cup at Qatar, they introduced that semi-automated offside technology. I think somewhat supporting referees in their decisions. And maybe that's something that could probably be starting to be introduced into the Premier League. But yeah, thank you for watching and listening. What are your thoughts on referees at the moment? I think specifically VAR. Do you think that's something that's really going to stick around the way that it is? I'm not sure it will. I think there's going to be improvements that they're going to want to make, because even with 2 people externally watching that game and watching footage, they're still making mistakes. There's got to be changes happening there. Make sure you like and subscribe and review and everything like that. That'd be fantastic, and I will see you again next week.